Hi Redesigners, it's Cece from Cece ReStyled. Today we are finishing up our 2 or 3 week long project of these end tables that we started about 3 weeks ago, and I will show you those real quick in case you missed the last couple Thursdays. So we started these end tables and we added some moldings. And then we added some, oh shoot, sorry, sorry, give me 1 second, my tripod. Technical difficulties, like if I don't have technical difficulties, it's not alive. Give me 1 second. Okay, let me see. Sorry, my tripod it has a mind of its own, really. Okay, so you can see our end tables where we added the moldings, and then on the sides we added, let's see, silly thing. Okay, and on the sides we added 3D stenciling with icing paste and stick and style stencil rolls. We also accented our moldings in Art Alchemy metallic paints. So they're these really pretty different colored acrylic paints from Prima Marketing. So today we're going to be adding transfers to the top. So I went ahead and this whole entire piece, there's 2 of these, but we're just going to work on one today. This whole entire piece is sealed in gator hide, and then we did the raised stenciling on the side, and I'm sorry, the whole entire piece except for the top. So the top has not been sealed yet. So we're going to go ahead and do some transfer action happening. And let me go ahead and set you up here, and then we will get to it. So we're going to be using a couple of brand new transfers today, or pretty new, a couple weeks old, I guess. From the latest release of the decor transfers from Prima is Violet Hill. Okay, so this one's new, the other one's not new. Violet Hill, which I really like, the pretty pinks and burgundies and all that stuff. And just an FYI, I'm not seeing any comments, so either there are none or something's technically wrong, which would not surprise me one bit. But anyways, I'm not ignoring you. I will, if I see any questions, I'll answer them, or I'll go back later and I'll answer them. But in addition to Violet Hill, we're going to be using Rose Celebration. Okay, and you're like, what? Those don't even go together. Oh, but they will. They absolutely will. Okay, so Violet Hill, Rose Celebration. Our table is painted already in antebellum blue and some other fun colors. So that's the top. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and assume that everybody is a transfer application expert. So I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to explain kind of some basics of using the transfer. So you want to apply your transfers to either a clean painted surface. It doesn't need to be sealed. If it is sealed, you can still apply a transfer. You just want to make sure that your sealer is completely dry. You can put a transfer on bare wood, stained wood, fabric, leather. You can put transfers on just about anything, metal, glass, but that doesn't mean, okay, one thing I want to mention about the transfers is that they need to be sealed, okay? So with the water-based sealer or clear wax, water-based is the key word. You don't want to use oil, hemp oil, any of that, oil, polyurethane, nothing oil-based on top of the transfers. I have used transfers on top of oil-based stain before, but it was several days cured. That's the important thing. So if you put it on something oil-based, it has to be all the way cured. And you need to give it at least like 3 to 5 days for that to happen, depending on your weather. You know, it could take longer if it's all rainy and yucky. But generally, I try to wait 4 days before I put it on anything oil-based. But it's not recommended to use oil-based products over the transfer. So you don't want to do that. I prefer to seal my transfers with clear coat satin from Dixie Belle, which is just a polyacrylic. And I like to gator hide everything. So I I know a lot of people use gator hide directly on transfers, and a lot of people also have problems applying gator hide to transfers. So if there is the slightest bubble or wrinkle, or you didn't get it pressed down all the way, the gator hide will will pull your transfer up and start to roll and peel and crack. And you know, I like to think that I put my transfers on perfectly every time, but maybe I don't, and maybe I miss a spot, and then I put my gator hide on it because everybody else says I can, and then my transfer's ruined. So who's really the one losing out? You. So I like to be safe, and if I'm putting gator hide over a transfer, I do a coat of clear coat satin or polyacrylic first, and then the gator hide. So that's just an extra precaution I'd rather take than and be safe than sorry. So anyways, those are some surfaces that you can put transfers on, some sealers you can use, and I think we're ready to go. So I get a lot of questions about cutting and layering transfers, like can you layer transfers, you know, this or that. Absolutely. It's kind of my life. I do it all the time. And again, oh, I do see comments. Hi. Okay, cool. Yes, you know, a lot of people will say, but I put gator hide on transfers all the time. And I'm like, that's cool. Well, you're obviously perfect. The rest of us maybe aren't so much, and we maybe missed a spot. So I don't want my transfer ruined. These things don't come free. All right, so I get a lot of questions about cutting, layering, transferring, cutting and layering transfers. And that's what we're going to be doing today. So I'm going to explain as if you've never used a transfer in your life, because I don't know, maybe some people watching haven't, and I don't want to exclude anyone. So I'm just going to start with the basics once I, you know, pop these bad boys open. So as you can see, most transfers have a design to them. They'll come in 3 sheets, 6 sheets, 4 sheets, however many sheets that you kind of piece together, and you can get this one big beautiful design. Okay, I mean, that's great. I don't usually use them that way because I like to cut them apart and chop them up and really customize them further. It's just fun for me. No reason. They're absolutely beautiful as intended, but I like to cut them apart and layer them. That's how you get all kinds of different looks and different colors and different elements going on, instead of just the same old rose celebration on a white dresser every day. You know, nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all wrong with that. I'm just saying, I get bored, so I like to do different things. And you, if you haven't cut them apart and layered them, you're really missing out, because it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to see what you can do. So first, we are going to go through what is a transfer. It's a rub-on graphic. It's got some adhesive on the back that when you rub it on, it will stick to your piece, your surface. And it creates a very thin, almost like a skin. It's not like a sticker. You can't feel the edges. I mean, it's not like a decal or vinyl or a sticker. It's very, very, very thin. So therefore, it's very, very delicate. So when they come on these rolls, you want to make sure that you unroll them gently. Okay, don't let them have a mind of their own and unroll all crazy willy-nilly, because then they'll stick to themselves and you'll be crying and ask what's wrong with the transfer. Just be careful. They're rolled up and they need to be unrolled delicately, okay? So look at those beautiful colors. Ah, one of my favorite classics, Rose Celebration, okay? Peaches and corals and pretty things. So each transfer sheet comes on a backing paper like this. So when you're ready to apply it, you peel the backing paper off slowly and then place your transfer and then rub it on. Okay, so until then, we're going to leave our backing paper on, okay, to preserve our transfer. So that's that for the moment. We're going to go ahead and choose some parts of our transfer that we want to use on this table. So placement. If I'm not using, you know, the intended placement of all these lined up, how do you know where to place them? What I do is I look at my surface or whatever area I'm wanting to transfer, and I like to kind of create balance on the top. So I'm not going to just load up one corner with a whole bunch of flowers and there's nothing in the other corner. I mean, you could, but I like to have a little bit of balance. So if I load up one corner with flowers, I'm going to put a little stenciling or something in the other corner. I like opposing corners, or you can start from the center and work your way out. So there's symmetry, which is the same on both sides, and then there's asymmetrical balance, which is when something balances out, but it doesn't necessarily look the same on each side. So what I'm trying to say is I'm going to cut some flowers out and place them in two opposing corners, and they're not going to be exactly the same, but they're going to give equal visual weight. So it doesn't look heavy on one side. Does that make sense? I'm not talking about real actual pounds and ounces. I'm talking about what something looks like it balances out or weighs. Okay? You'll see what I mean here in a minute if you're like, what is she talking about? I'll show you. Okay, so the next transfer we're going to use after Rose Celebration is Violet Hill. It's one of the newer release transfers. And look at these gorgeous purples and pinks. There's some white and some green, all those pretty colors. So the reason why I chose these transfers was because I'm starting on a like tealish blue background. And if you are not very good at picking out colors or choosing matching colors, you might want to invest a few bucks in a color wheel. It does the work for you. So you pick a color, and then based on the color's placement on the wheel and what kind of color scheme you want to do, it will tell you what colors coordinate. So I know that opposite of blue on the color wheel is orange. So teal blue and coral are, you know, derivatives of or different hues of teal blue and orange. So those are contrasting complementary colors. So they're complementary, so I know that my orange and my blue are going to go together. And then I just wanted to add some purples and some of these greens from these leaves. So I decided I'm going to throw in a little bit of purples too, because I know that purple and green and orange are equidistant on the color wheel. They form a triangle. That means they're a color scheme. So it's math. See, you thought in order to pick out colors you had to be born with it, but it's science. So we are going to start with Rose Celebration first. And my back, sorry, my internet's kind of wonky right here in my back. So the reason why I decided to start with Rose Celebration first is because I'm doing this on a darker background, and Rose Celebration can be just a tiny bit transparent. Not super see-through, but a little bit more transparent than Violet Hill. So I'm going to start with my more transparent flowers in the background and add my more solid flowers on top. Does that make sense? So that you're not seeing through all the layers of flowers necessarily. So, okay, what I need is some scissors. I'm going to go ahead and grab an X-Acto knife or a blade, a snap-off blade, just in case. Don't need these. Your transfer comes with a stick, a little wooden popsicle-like stick, and this is for application. You can rub it on as you're applying, and they work perfectly fine. They work great. But there's also these fancy schmancy plastic transfer application tools, which you can also get. They don't come with it, but they are worth the few dollar investment. I think they're like $7 or $8. But they've got a smaller end, a larger end for larger areas, and see the little hook on the end for going around in insets and drawer edges and things like that. That comes in super duper handy. And I just want to apologize. I'm not trying to ignore anybody. I can't read comments from this far away. So if Roz doesn't answer them, I'll answer them later, or I'll try to catch some here in a minute. But we're going to go ahead and get started with our cutting, chopping, and layering. So I'm going to point you down, and that way you can see. So I'm going to start with Rose Celebration, like I said. And I look for chunks that kind of make a nice corner. So I'm going to do this corner. Sorry, I don't know if you can see that. Hold on. I am going to put flowers in this corner right here, and then the opposing corner up here, okay? So again, the balance thing we talked about, the visual balance coming in from two corners, okay? And so I'm looking for a piece that would look good in a corner. And I mean, it's kind of crazy, but on top there happens to be this piece that if I cut off these letters or words or text, it might fit perfectly right here. So I'm thinking I'll probably use that right there. And then let's see. I mean, we're kind of on a roll here. I think sheet number 2 has this nice little chunk right here. See that pretty chunk of flowers? I like these because nothing gets cut off. It doesn't have to line up with anything. There's no sharp edges or lines. If there were, it's okay. I would just line it up with the edge of the table, but there's not, so we're pretty open to whatever we want to do with this piece. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out this piece that I want to use, and I don't really want the branches. See the branches? I'm not real like crazy about those, so they're not really an integral part of my design here that I have in my head. So I'm just going to cut the branches off and leave the flowers, the pretty coral pink flowers with these little yellow goldenrods or whatever they are here on them. They do a really good job at coloring these at Prima. They always have nice, rich, bright colors. So I'm thinking this guy is going to go over here in the corner. Can you see that? I can't tell if you can or not. So I think we're just going to kind of lay him right there and see, you know, exactly where he's going to go in a little bit. And then this piece, see how there is this, hold on, this sharp edge right here where it's supposed to line up to another piece. We're not lining this up. So I'm gonna take this sharp edge and I'm gonna line it up to the edge of my table. So, I mean, we're lining it up, but we're not lining it up to another part of transfer. We're just gonna butt that right up to the edge of our table. And then same with this harsh line right here. We're gonna butt that right up to this edge of our table, so it's perfectly cornered right there. So now all I have to do is cut out this kind of organic shape here, and the rest is kind of already done for me here on this angle. So you can see here on that flower, see how it kind of gets cut off? It's white, I don't know how well you can see it, but it gets cut off. So what I'm gonna do with my scissors is I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna round off the edges so it doesn't look like it's missing something. And if you give the pieces a more organic shape, they don't look like you cut them and chopped them up and placed them. They look like that's how they were intended to be. So even though it's not a perfect flower shape that I'm creating, it looks more natural, and I promise no one would give it a second glance. So I'm just cutting off the text, at least as much of it as I can. There's a few little bits of words in the little branches here, but I'm not going to worry about those individual letters. You can get you a little X-Acto knife and punch those out if you want, but in my experience they're not super noticeable, so I just kind of leave them as background texture. So I've got a nice clean, I've put 2 coats of paint, let them dry. You want to, okay, so in the instructions on the transfer it says to let your paint dry overnight. Okay, I'm not going to lie, I let mine dry to the touch maybe an hour. If it's dry, then I go ahead and transfer. I'm not saying that you follow suit, I'm just saying that's what I do, and it's been fine in the past. So, you know, yeah, let it dry overnight. So I'm going to keep that text because who knows, on a future job when I might want some swirlies or text, I don't know. So always save your scraps, because what happens if I screw up one of these flowers and I tear it, or it gets a bubble and wrinkle and cracks, then I can just take parts of my transfer scraps and cover it up just like a Band-Aid. Okay, so the corners of my table are rounded. Can you see how they're not squared off, they're rounded. My transfer is squared off. So here's what I do. I either take like a Sharpie, or most of the time I just use my fingernail so I don't accidentally Sharpie my table. I take my fingernail and I trace the edge of my piece with my fingernail. So So I can see, I don't know if you can see that on the screen very well, but I can see my beveled or my radius corner there. And so I'm just going to cut where my fingernail mark is. And you can use a knife to do it. I don't want to cut my paint, but if you're gentle, you can use a knife to do it, or a pen or a Sharpie. I just use my fingernail because why not? Okay, so I'm going to make sure that my corner matches, my little radius corner. Boom. Boom, ba-doom, boom, boom. That works. Okay, so now what I want to do is, got a little piece I wanted to cut off. So now that I am pretty confident my transfer is going to fit, now I got to get it placed. So now I'm going to peel my backing paper away gently, okay, gently. What happens if you're peeling this away and your graphic or your transfer sticks to the backing paper? Okay, is it ruined? Maybe, maybe not. What I do is I immediately put my backing paper right back on. I roll it back up. I stick it in the fridge for like 5 minutes, or I put it in front of a fan to cool it off. And then when I go to try again, I start from the opposite side. So I'm going to start from this end instead of the end that was not sticking to the correct the acetate sheet. It was sticking to my back. I start from the opposite end, and generally when you start from the opposite end, that helps a lot, and you can save your transfer, or at least most of it. 90% of the time. I've done it a lot, trust me. So okay, so now I don't want to touch the back of my transfer because that's where the adhesive is, and if I touch it, I'll get transfers on my fingers, or, you know, ruin my transfer. Like, you want to make sure, and it's hard when you're cutting up and chopping like this not to touch the back. So just do the best you can to be careful. And now we're going to try to line up our transfer as best we can before it sticks permanently. Okay, so I got one edge lined up, and don't let it stick to itself because then it's definitely ruined. Okay, I lined up both my edges. My corner's good, so now I'm just going to lay the rest of it down and give it firm rub with my palm. Make sure it's good and stuck there. Okay, so now I can take my wooden stick or my transfer tool, whichever I prefer, you know. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the wooden stick, and sometimes, frankly, I prefer it. On transfers like Neverending Story or ones with a whole lot of tiny text, I prefer the wooden stick. But generally, I just like using my transfer tool, and it works just fine. So you're gonna want to rub your entire graphic, and you can't be in a hurry, okay? You got to make sure it's all the way down. You want to rub all over it firmly. I mean, you may get some muscles doing this. Who knows? Who would have thought making tables pretty is like working out? You don't even have to go to the gym today. But you do want to make sure you get the entire surface of the transfer rubbed on as best as you can. It doesn't matter which way you go. I kind of like to go in both directions, so I'll go one way, then I'll go the other way. Okay, so we're almost, I think, rubbed on here. Okay, so that's a good start. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a corner or an edge to start peeling up. And you don't want to rip it away like a Band-Aid. You want to pull it up fairly slow to make sure your transfer is sticking. If you find an area where it's not, for example, like this little white flower here, just lay it back down and go over it again. No harm, no foul. And try again. So boom, we got it that time. So I'm going pretty slow. There's a little spot we missed. Oops. Keep going. Oh, I didn't get these edges super well. I get worried about scratching my paint, so go over the edges carefully. Look how pretty the corals and oranges in this transfer are with the antebellum blue paint. Green, blue and orange is one of my favorite color combinations. Okay, so we're peeling slowly, we're peeling slowly, we're peeling slowly. And boom. Okay, so, shoo, we did it. Stress is over, right? Wrong. Now we got to make sure it's burnished, okay? Burnished is a fancy word for to rub something. So I like to take my finger or the palm of my hand and I just go over the whole transfer, okay? Like you want to go firmly but gently, if that makes sense. If it's not all the way down and you're doing this, you could peel some of it up. So you want to be kind of gentle, but you want to be firm enough to make sure you're getting all the bubbles and wrinkles out. And you really want to press down those edges. You will notice on some colors, so I've noticed on a lot of darker colors, black, dark blues, you will see this clear line around the very edges of your transfer. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I definitely see it. It's called a halo or ghosting. I mean, that's not an official term, but that's what we call it. And you're like, oh my gosh, what is this clear line all the way around my transfer? I don't like it. So what you need to do is just make sure you've got it pressed or burnished all as best you can around those edges, all over really, but especially the edges. And then once you seal it with your polyacrylic or clear wax, you should notice those edges will diminish quite a bit. So if they don't disappear completely, they'll definitely disappear quite a bit. So I've never sealed one and then still saw the halo to where I was like, oh my gosh, this is not doable. I can't live with this. At best, it's just barely visible, in my experience. So that is one corner. We're going to go ahead and throw this corner down, and then we're going to get our violet hill out, and I'll show you how I kind of layer. Choose and layer where to put those. Okay, so we're not going to cut any edges on this. I like this chunk kind of how it is. So we're just going to place it, we're just going to place it kind of like this, okay? Kind of diagonal. And if you're, let me show you. If you're anything like me and you're like, wait a minute, that's not right. There's a big space right there. It should be coming out from the corner where it should have a flower. Well, don't forget we're going to fill in some areas with our violet hill transfer. So got to leave some spots for the violet hill. So we're just going to go ahead and rub that one on just like we did the other one. Got to use extra muscle when it's further away. Okay. Oop. All right, so we got this direction. I think I'm going to go in this direction a little bit. Try not to scratch up my paint. All right, so I'm going to start peeling up in this corner. So far, so good. Oh, of course, little leaf guy there didn't want to stick, but he's good now. All right, peeling up, peeling up, peeling up. Boom. Okay. Whew, we made it again. So I'm going to burnish all over the whole transfer with my palm of my hand here. And There we go. I mean, you'll want to spend a little bit more time going around the edges with your thumb or your finger or whatever, but we're going to layer some transfers on this, so I'll have more time to burnish that further here in a minute. But we're going to go ahead and move on to Violet Hill. I'm itching to bust out this Violet Hill. Let's see, which parts do we want to use? Well, let's grab this one. So, see these pretty purples and pinks and lavenders? That's what we're going to use. So I'm thinking that, see how this one, it doesn't go all the way to the edge? We need something in the edge, in the corner. So I'm thinking that little piece right there might go really well in the corner. But I really like these lavenders here happening. So I think I'm going to go ahead and start with, I'm going to cut out this little lavender guy right here, and then I'm going to cut out this little lavender pair here, and we'll start with that. So we got plenty of pinks from our rose celebration, so we're going to go lavender for now. Oh yes. Okay, so there's my little lavender guy, and he kind of looks like a branch that would stick off, so I'm thinking maybe somewhere kind of poking out, like here would look good, poking out from that, but we already got a little branchy guy there, so maybe up here, something like that. We'll put that there for now and see what else we can come up with. I'm going to go ahead and cut out these lavender. It's a little purple rose and a purple I don't know, what is that, an iris or a, what are they called? Orchid, maybe it's orchid. Oh, I do like the green leaves, so I want to try to keep some of the green leaves, but maybe not on this one. All right, so I'm cutting out my purple guys, and I always save, like, just because I'm cutting this out and using this part doesn't mean I'm going to pitch the rest of it, okay? I'm going to keep the rest of this transfer because I'll always need, you know, scraps or a random flower here or there, so I always keep them, and it's served me really well to do so for mistakes and such, or just random projects where I need a little something. Okay, so there's my little purple rose, and I think it's an orchid maybe, and the little purple balls, whatever those are. I'm thinking maybe we put these purple guys up here, maybe like that, just mixed in with the orange flowers. I want it to look like a bouquet, like they were naturally put together, not like I just plopped purple flowers on. So we're going to stick that there for now and find some more purple, pink, whatever flowers we can. All right, ooh, here's a good one. Okay, so this one's got the white flower, a pink flower, and the purple one. I think I'm just going to cut out this. It's white, but it's got a little bit of a blue tint to it. I mean, at least I believe it's supposed to be white, but it's got a little bit of a tint of that tealish blue, which matches my table. So I'm going to cut those out real quick, and then we'll place those and see where we're at. I'm digging the purple and the orange and the blue together a lot. Jewel tones, people, jewel tones. All right? All right, so I think this little guy might go perfectly right here. Well, ooh, maybe in the corner. Or maybe, let's put him right there. And we'll put this guy right here, maybe? I don't know. Let me place this one first and then we'll see. So, I think, ooh, I like this right here, this placement right here. That looks good to me. It looks like it naturally just goes with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and, oh, where's my knife? See how it overlaps the edge? You can take the transfer and just rub it on around that beveled edge. And I do that occasionally, but I think for this project, I'm just gonna slice it off carefully so I don't cut my paint job. Very, very carefully. Very, very carefully. Okay, so I'm gonna just rub it on. You don't have to seal the transfer before you add another transfer or anything like that. You just rub it on right over it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I mean, what do you think about the purples and oranges together? Is it not everybody's jam? That's fine, I get it, but I love it. But I like contrasty, bright colors, so. All right, so we're gonna peel it up slow. And again, I'm not ignoring you all. I cannot read comments from this far away, so I'm sorry. Or questions, rather. Okay, cool. So that is, just gonna go over it with our palm, just like we did on the first little layer we did. Pop any bubbles? Oh, I feel some bubbles popping. It's so satisfying when the bubbles pop. All right, so I think I might want to put this guy right here, actually. And then I'm probably gonna find one more flower to go here and then be done with that side. So I'm thinking, wait, where did I say? Shoot, now I forgot where I said. I think right here. Right there? Or coming out a little bit more. How about coming out a little bit more? No, I don't want him to take up too much space. How about we'll just stick with, here and we'll just pretend like he's coming out from behind the coral guy there. There's no right or wrong really when you're placing them. It's just kind of what you think looks good and what looks realistic-ish, esque, sort of. All right, so I'm gonna peel that up slow like. Take your time. I'm kind of trying to go a little bit quickly because live video, but you'd want to take a little bit more time than this to make sure you have it down. And then burnish your edges with your finger. Okay, so I'm thinking, yeah, I think I'll just put one more little thing in this corner and be done with that. And then I think that this one will go right here. I don't want to bring these flowers out a whole bunch, okay? I just want to kind of place some purple flowers in with my coral ones. So I think I'm just going to place that right like there, maybe, like so, or like so. How about that? Like so. Just like that. Yeah. All right. Rub it on. And when you're layering, you want to be careful when you're rubbing on, to not scrape or scratch your other transfers underneath, just like you don't want to scratch up your paint. So just be a little gentle around the edges. A little careful. All right. All right, so we're peeling, we're peeling, we're peeling. And voila, purple flowers with our coral flowers. So I'm gonna put, I'm gonna find a couple more purple or pink guys to put like right here, maybe like one more right here, and then one more right here. And I don't want to, I mean, this is maybe a little more flowers than I wanted to originally put, but I like it. So I don't want to get too carried away. I'm just gonna find two more quickly to put. And oh, look at that. Look at that purple flower. How do you like them apples? That's gonna fit just perfect. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut out this whole pink and purple jobby here. And then I'm gonna lay it down and figure out what I need to cut off of it. It's better to have extra and cut off what you don't need than have cut off some parts and regret it, you know. I've done that before, and yes, you can save it, but let's just be careful from the get-go. Okay. So let's see. I'm thinking right there in that corner. Can you guys see that? So I'm going to do my little, ooh, how about, wait, right there, right there. So I'm going to do my little fingernail trick. And I'm just going to trace it with my fingernail so I know where to cut that radius edge. Like I said, you can use a knife or a Sharpie or a pen or whatever. I use my fingernail. Make sure it fits. And I think we're golden right there. So I'm just going to carefully peel off the back. Maybe. Got it. Got it. I win. I win. All right. So I'm going to have to get up and line this up. Line it up on my corner first and then both of the straight edges. That works. That works. That works. Okay. And once I have it in place or where I want it, just give it a rub with my palm, get it on there, and then I'm going to use my tool and go over it. And we're almost done. We're in the home stretch. We got one more flower to go, or one more little spot. I want to add some, and then we're good. Then we're going to seal it with, I'm probably going to do the transfer areas with clear coat and satin, and then I'll do 2 coats of gator hide on top of the entire thing. Since it is an end table, you know, people set drinks and stuff on that, so you want something protective. Again, go around your edges gently or carefully so you don't ruin your paint or your other transfers. Oh, boom. All right, press that little guy down there. Okay, pop out any bubbles. Pop, 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 wrinkles. Ooh, I felt some bubbles. But they're gone now. Okay, so one more little area here, and then we're going to call it a day, and I will seal this later. Let's see. I want a little, I think I want a little bit of purple. We've got these purple little, I don't even know, burrs or balls of some sort. I don't even know what those are, but I think I want to use those purple little balls. Yeah. Well, let me think. Let me think. Let's see what I got. No, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use this purple and this pink flower right here and this little leaf. I'm going to cut out this whole jobby there. And in the print, they're overlapping. So we're just going to have to cut the edges to an organic shape to make it look more natural. Does that make sense? So instead of just, you know, cutting them off so it looks like cut flowers, we're going to have to kind of fudge the edges a little bit. And that's okay. I've yet to have someone say, wow, it looks like you used a transfer that was supposed to line up to something else and you didn't. I'm telling you, no one will be the wiser. Well, most likely, if you do it nice and natural looking. So here's what I'm kind of talking about. So this edge is not going to, oh, what's the word? It's not going to look right, okay? And I'll show you how I'm going to fix that. So see my leaf, how it's got that straight edge on there that really shouldn't, it's supposed to line up to something or be on the edge. I'm going to cut that into a pointy leaf shape instead of leaving it sharp, or instead of leaving it a straight edge like that. I'm just going to point it, I'm going to cut it into a leaf shape. See? No more sharp edge. Now it looks like a leaf. Can you see that? Leaf edge. Okay? Same thing with the corner of this flower. I'm just going to cut it rounded so it looks more like a petal hanging off than a sharp edge. And then, okay, so this guy. See how it looks like a half a flower? Well, like, that's not cool. I want a whole flower. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab another flower from my scrap pile, you know, the pieces that I cut away that I could possibly throw away or keep. I'm gonna find another flower with that same coloration to it. And I mean, oh shoot, I got my transfer sticking to itself. See what I mean about be careful? Oh, not cool. Okay, so that's kind of similar, but not exactly what I'm looking for. Let me look one more time. Oh, okay, I got one here. Okay. See this flower right here? It's the same kind of flower as this flower. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut out that little guy, and then I'm gonna piece it together with this little guy, and it's gonna look like one whole flower instead of a half and a half. Is that cool or what? I'm gonna go ahead and cut off this little guy and make him like a rosebud or something. There we go. Okay, no, I'm just gonna cut him all the way off. Okay, so that's where we're at. Now I'm gonna cut out this little guy. Be careful with my transfers so they stop sticking together. All right. Okay, so now I just got to kind of finesse my cuts a little bit so that it all looks like one flower. And I think that once I get that added on there, it looks like pretty much most of a flower. Am I right? Am I right? Looks like one kind of opening up. So let's see where we're gonna put this. We're gonna put this right here. I think right like that. I like that. And so this little guy will go right here. And I'll show you what else I'm going to do to make it look not like I pieced it together. Okay, so I'm going to place that there. Then I'm going to place this here. And see how I still have a little bit of an opening right there? So it's not 100% of a whole flower. There's still a little opening. I'm going to find a leaf. I'm going to find me a big old leaf if I can. Let's see, let's look over here. Actually, okay, I didn't find a leaf. I did, however, find this little branch that kind of, it's got a little flower on it that's kind of budding, and it's got some greenery. So instead of a leaf, I found that, and I can just patch that right on top of it. And it just looks like a flower that is happening in front of the flower. See what I mean? See what I mean, Vern? Let's go ahead and put our biggest piece down first. Gotta be careful. Very, very careful. Ah. There we go. Rub it on. Careful not to scratch up our transfers that we already laid down. But we want to make sure this gets nice and on there. Ah. Okay. Let's give that a shot, shall we? There we go. Wait, maybe? Yeah. Okay. Peel it up slow. All right. All right. Burnish it with the palm or finger, whatever. All right, now we're going to stick our little smaller petals on here that we kind of that we're band-aiding in. And I'm just going to put those kind of like right there. Okay, so it's another part of the flower, another section. When you're cutting and placing, you don't always have an edge to grab onto, so you kind of got to use a little knife or fingernail to get under there, pull the backing paper away. Okay, so now we got our last piece. We're just going to stick it right there. Little flower. Boom. And rub it on, peel it away gently. All right, cool. Give it a little quick once over with my palm to pop any bubbles and get those edges down. And voila, that is our chopped and screwed transfer that we, it's like a remix. We took two different transfers and we just kind of remixed them together. So now we have our own custom transfer. I'll bring you in a little closer so as you can see. Let's see, maybe, there we go. All right, let's see. All right, so there is, see, it just looks like a bouquet of flowers. You know, that's our little area that we just did that could have potentially been a disaster, but we fixed it and band-aided it. And then there is, see the halos I was telling you about, those little clear edges? When I seal, that will go away. Okay, that will go away, and no harm, no foul, or at least it'll go away enough to where I'm comfortable with it. Not every single color does that. I've noticed that the darker colors tend to do it a little bit more. So anyways, whoo, it's hot in here. All that rubbing's got me all sweaty. So let me see. Okay, so now that I can see comments or questions, I'll just see if I missed anything real quick. Yes. Oh, girl, I'll give you some purple balls on your table, okay? You want purple balls? You got purple balls? I will go back through and read the comments and questions and see if anything didn't get answered, but I think Roz is usually pretty on top of that. So I appreciate you tuning in to our Thursdays pimping out these Prima tables. So now we've got transfers, raised stenciling with icing paste. On the front, we've got our molds that we did in resin, and then we painted them with the Art Alchemy metallic waxes. And transfer, I mean, we just did it up. We did it up. So these are all Prima'd out, and I just have to finish the other table now, and then I'll have a complete set. Yay! So hang out with me next Thursday, same time, same place, noon, in the Redesign with Prima group, and we'll do something else fun. We'll maybe start a new project that we can work on over a couple weeks, or we'll just do something fun and random. I don't know. It's a surprise. You'll have to tune in and find out. So you all have a great, it's almost the weekend. Have a great almost weekend, and I'll see you next Thursday. Bye.